What is going on? What is going on? What is going on, party people? It is your boy, Coach D Brown, former big leaguer, former first round pick with the Kansas City Royals. And man, I hope everybody had a great weekend. I know Friday we had a good show at the end. It's the audio and all of that. It's the beauty of going live, man. But listen, we had to go back down south. We were down south last week and pretty much all week. But man, I had to take it back to the crib. We did Rutgers a week and a half ago, but now we really going on, back to the house almost here for me now. All right, Jersey's a Jersey, but now we taking it back to New York over here. So without further ado, I am joined by coach of Iona College, Paul Panik. And man, this is coach, man, I appreciate you coming on, man. And this is it's good to talk. We talking behind the scenes, man. We know we're each other's high school and it's kind of a reunion type of thing, man. So coach,
Love it.
Coach Paul, man, what's going on, man?
So hey man, thanks for having me, man. I'm glad to be able to finally chop it up. I seen some of the broadcast, man. I'm happy I'm finally here to be able to chop it up with you for a little bit.
Good deal, man. Good deal, man. So like I do all the time, man, I always have my guests, man. They got to go all the way back to the beginning, man. So, let my listeners know, man, how, I'm going to talk about, where you from, your playing career to your coaching career to where you are head coach at Iona.
So I grew up in Shrub Oak. I played for Shrub Oak Athletic Club when I was a kid. Moved up to East Fishkill up in Dutchess County when we were 12, going to be 13. Played varsity baseball at John Jay East Fishkill. Lucky enough to play a Division I baseball at Canisius College up in Buffalo. It's not as cold as everybody thinks it is. It's on the same line. It's on the same, what do they call that on the globe? It's on the same line. But it's fine. It was good. So I came out of college and I got a job. I was in sales. And I tell you what, my passion was baseball, and I was coaching high school, and I was coaching football and baseball, and I was like, man, I got to get in the college game. So I literally packed up my car, took the volunteer job out of Butler University, did that for a year, and then I went to took the next step in the ladder. I went to Niagara University for a year. I took a recruiting position there. And then I went back to Canisius, my alma mater, for 2 years as the graduate assistant, where I was able to hustle, earn my master's, right? Get my master's, coach, work full time, and kind of hustle it out. And then I took the biggest step in my career was coming to Iona the first time as a recruiting coordinator. So now I finally had my own, group that I can recruit and say that, hey, like these are like my kind of guys. Obviously, the former head coach Pat Carey was a great guy, man. He gave me a lot of leash. I was a youngster. I had what was that, 4 years of Division I experience under my belt, but at the same time, I'd never been in that role. So he gave me a lot of leash, and we had a great run that year. And then from there, I kind of wanted to broaden my horizons a little bit. So I was a catcher. Right, I caught, and I was always a hitting guy and this and that. So I took a job at University of Albany as a pitching coach. Right, so I gained a lot of knowledge that year. That year, I really reinvested kind of into myself a little bit, and it takes a lot of time and a lot of kind of reading and research to kind of flip sides of the ball. Right, like you go from you're on one side and your whole life, and then it's like, wait, what's this drive line stuff? Wait, what's this and what's that? Like, yeah. So, and then I was fortunate enough back in June of 2018 to be named the head coach back at Iona. I was able to get back. Man, I'm going on year 3, and we're fired up, man. We got a good cast of characters. And when I say characters, I mean characters. But it's a good group of guys, man, and we're ready to do battle even through kind of the circumstances and kind of some of the stuff that we're trying to fight through here.
Man, good deal, man. So, man, I mean, I know your age, man, but you still look every bit of 4 or 5 years outside of high school right now, man. With that baby face over there,
I got the haircut. Got the haircut today, and I shaved it today just for you guys.
So good deal, man. So. I know the type of ball that you come from in the area. Obviously it's bred a lot of major leaguers, including myself, and my boy Rob, and but you got famous family. You know what I'm saying, in your own in your own blood over there. So talk about a little bit of how's that relationship, how has that been having one of your siblings, man, make it and continue to play right now in the big leagues, man?
I think it's kind of surreal, right? Because in our family, we're all about if one succeeds, we all succeed, right? It's a big it's a we all share in the ups and the downs, right? It's the good and the bad, right? Being out in San Francisco for the World Series, 2014 was awesome, right? And I've shared in his highs and I've shared in his lows of getting DFA'd by the Giants last year, right? And and then coming back to the Mets, and so he's had a fantastic career. I mean, what more All-Star, Gold Glover, World Series champion. Like at the end of the day, he's hit a lot of things in his career. So, he's just trying to be the savvy veteran now, right? Every team likes that, the savvy veteran, and good presence. Because with the Jays, they got a lot of talent, man. With Bo and Kevin and little Vladdy, right? Well, little big Vladdy, right? So,
right.
It's been nice to see him kind of take on that veteran role. Like I see him in the dugout now. I watch the games every night, and he's talking to somebody, or he's kind of coaching, right? And so it's kind of neat to see him evolve in his career. He came up as the young buck, right?
Right.
He came up as a young guy in 2014, and kind of stole the show a little bit, right?
Yeah, he did. Yes, he did.
And and then now he's on the other side of the career, and he's hustling and making it work.
It's just crazy how, because you said the savvy veteran, right? I'm still remembering that fresh-faced kid over in the World Series balling. You know what I'm saying? Like just doing this thing. And it's funny how quickly, that thing, you go from young player to, the veteran side of things, man. So, and if everybody doesn't really know, Joe Panik, former second base, World Series champion, all-star with the San Francisco Giants. And now with the Toronto Blue Jays is Coach Paul Panik's brother. We didn't really say it, you know what I'm saying? But man, so he is carving out, because he's in the middle of his career. He is carving out a great major league career, man. And it's it's great to see, and I when he was coming up, and I used to hear stories and talking about this kid. And then when he got up and he's playing, my Royals and all of that, and he's balling and doing his thing, man. So, but congrats on that from the whole family, man. So, listen, man, let's talk about this Iona, man. So you there at Iona, man. So for my people that are listening in, where's Iona College at?
New Rochelle, New York, which is I'd say about 15 minutes. It's just north of the Bronx.
Beautiful side out there. So what's the conference? What tell me the conference. Tell me a little bit of enrollment. How many students do you have at Iona College? And then we get into the conference a little bit.
So at Iona, there's about anywhere between 3,000 and 3,200 undergrad. You sprinkle in another 1,000 graduate students, right? So you're talking any year between 4,000 and 5,000 people coming in and out of campus. Great. We have great business program. Our business and criminal justice are our two biggest, majors, right? It seems like our guys gravitate to one side or the other. You want to be in law enforcement or work. So actually, one of our kids works is getting his degree in cyber forensics. I was like, oh, that's some pretty heavy stuff, but it's like counterterrorism and it was counterterrorism and digital forensics, and I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. So we're able to offer we're able to offer a pretty wide range, everything from the liberal arts and all the way to the to the kind of the little niche type of degrees.
All right, so and the conference you guys are playing in, because when I think of Iona, I think more so of basketball. You know what I'm saying? For some reason in my head, I think more basketball, and I think of Iona. And I know the area New Rochelle is always, a nice area over there. But when I think of Iona College, so tell me a little bit the conference. Tell me the brand of ball that you guys play. And out there competing.
For us, so we're in the Metro Atlantic Athletic Conference, which is I'm going to start south to north, that way I don't miss anybody. Ryder, Monmouth, St. Peter's, Manhattan, Iona, Fairfield, Quinnipiac, Marist, Siena, Canisius, and Niagara. Okay, so now for us, we play on a turf field, and it's got some big gaps, right? So there gets to a point where it's like, well, you want to. I love playing gorilla ball. I want to try to bang the ball around the field, but I got to have my little rabbits run too, right? So um,
Mm, mm.
we started off, I started off trying to recruit, more athletes, to kind of cover the gaps and run a little bunt, a little hit and run. But the game's changed, man. The game's changed. So now we got, our center fielder 6'4", 200 pounds, right fielder 6'3", 210, right? Like we're trying to play a more physical brand of baseball, so this is my second full recruiting class in, so I've been able to kind of change what I think is the model, and what I think, can work at Iona a little bit.
Man, you got some big boys out there, man. And I know you tucked away, Angles are tucked away. You out there in the Northeast out there banging away, dealing with, weather issues and all of that, especially when it comes to February. And man, so tell me a little bit about your schedule. What do you guys do? And, because like I said, that whole conference, I'm familiar with all you guys. That's what I grew up around. And Maris, definitely Maris. But tell me a little bit about your as far as like what do you guys do when it's February and March, man? It's out there freezing what off.
So we obviously so Division I, you're allowed to start playing first the third Friday in February, right? So it's early as basically Valentine's Day, or it's late as the 22nd, I believe. So basically we take trips, man. We go, like this year, like just past year's schedule, we opened up at College of Charleston, right? Then we went to New Mexico State, George Mason. Damn. Then we played Fordham on a weekend, right? And then right before the season stopped, came to screeching halt. We were going on our spring break trip, which was VCU out to Purdue to Illinois, right? So we put a lot of miles on that bus. Right. And that's kind of how we do it. It's always tough for our kids coming back. Right. So we get back Sunday night at 4 or 5 a.m. Hey guys, got to go to class. Right. Then Tuesday practice, in the gym on the turf. Right. Like if it's a nice enough day, we can, sneak out on the turf and have different groups and kind of maneuver some things. But listen, I enjoy that challenge, but our guys love getting out on the field early. And it's just different feel when, you leave snow. And then you can go, wear flip flops, down in Charleston, South Carolina, in a matter of 15 hours on the bus, 12 hours on the bus. You can go from bundled up to on the beach.
Tell me, you say you played New Mexico State. You guys didn't bus all the way over there.
No.
I'm about to say.
No, that one we flew, man. Like. And I'll tell you what, for me as coach, like the flights are nervous and scary, right? Until we get back, and it's nervous time, man, because I'm halfway across the country. I got 35. I got I got coaches, right. Staff. I got a travel party of 38, right? And I'm like, damn, what if one of these guys loses his ID? What happens if this happens? What if the bus don't show? Right? You know what I mean? So like, I love flying because you can play in some pretty cool places, but I hate the thought of like, man, like leading up to it, there's so much that goes involved, and you're like, what happens if my flight gets canceled? Like, what happens if it snows? Right. So, but New Mexico was cool though, man. I have you ever been out there in Las Cruces? There?
Yeah, I haven't been in Las Cruces. I played in Albuquerque in the PCL, so I know New Mexico. I just never been to Las Cruces though. No.
It was actually kind of cool, man. Like we flew into El Paso and then we kind of drove up, basically past the borders here, and we're driving right along the border. Like, it was neat. And like for me, and what I want to do, what I want to create for my players is kind of is like those once in a lifetime experiences. None of my guys are ever going to go back there unless, like you said, they're playing in Albuquerque, right? They're probably, my 35 guys are probably never going to go back there. Right. So it's something, it's just something different, man. That's kind of what we're trying to do here. It's, you're trying to get kids out with their degree in 4 years, and you want to make lifelong memories and you want to win championships, right? You're playing all three of those buckets, kind of trying to work together on that.
It's funny, like just the more I talk to you guys and you being, Division I head coaches, man, it seems like you guys are like, travel secretaries, GMs, agents, negotiating, you know what I'm saying, money, and making the schedule, and then on top of that, yeah, you got to coach and do all that other. You know what I'm saying? So it's like you guys have your hand in so many different buckets, man. It's you know, is it just like the kids have to do a whole bunch of time management aspects of it? Like, you know, I know certain schools probably have a little bit more help than others, but man, it's you're telling me you got to schedule it, then you got to look after these kids and keep up with the grades and all that type of stuff. It seems like there's a lot of responsibility being a head coach, no?
I enjoy the 3 hours a day or 2 hours a day that I'm on the field because I don't have to think about the other stuff, right? 95% of my job is non-coaching. It's, hey, Johnny, hey, making sure Johnny's doing it, make sure every classes are good, this and that, the equipment's ordered and in and distributed. You know what I mean? It's all those cool things that it's like you worry about the kids but you just want to coach baseball. But that's not why I'm in the college game, right? Like, if I want to just coach baseball, like, okay, like I'll go in the pro game, right? Or try to forge my way towards that path. But like for me, I enjoy the kids, man. I always talk about it like this. And my college coach, Mike McCray, always said this, and I didn't understand it until I became a coach. He always said, championships are great. I want to win more than the next guy. I hate losing, but I want to be remembered for the number of weddings that I go to with my players, then a championship, because he always said, fellas, at the end of the day, the winning's going to come and go, right? Like the winning comes, the winning goes. When you see your buddies 5-10 years from now, you're not going to remember that diving play you made. Well, some may, but like you're not going to remember all the little, I lost this game because I threw the ball away, or you're going to remember the people for who the people are, and I want to touch as many kids as I can, right? And, make a positive impact in your life. And again, it's not always smooth, and, you're going to have people that don't like you and this and that, but, that type of stuff is what makes it exciting for me. It kind of drives me.
Man, I love it, man. So speaking of those memories being made, the type of kids and everything, man, I know you, like I said, you're right there in New Rochelle, 15 minutes, 30 minutes away from the city, in the heart of Manhattan. On a good day, I should say. But but
you're right.
right. But as far as the recruiting base, you know what I'm saying? Where are you getting your kids from?
I tell you what, the pandemic has kind of taught me one thing, is that you can recruit anywhere. You can recruit anybody anywhere, right? We got kids from, New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, Jersey, Maryland, right? And this year we've gotten a couple kids from California, kid from Maine, right? It's so, and like for us, like I'm a big also second chance guy. Right. Like a lot of some, kids go to other programs and, sometimes it just doesn't work out. Right. And I find those kids, some people call them kickbacks, or, kids that didn't make it in their first place. I think those kids are hungry. I think those kids are some of the hungriest kids out there, man. Like I enjoy those kids, right? Because they have a little chip on their shoulder. Kind of like that's kind of the way I always played. There's always a little chip on my shoulder. Right. So if you can recruit 35 hungry guys, forget about the talent, right? The talent's one thing, like unique talented ball players, right? But if you can put together 35 hungry guys that are chasing one goal as a unit, right? It's obviously this is a team, it's an individualistic game within a team sport, right? So if you can have 35 guys that can kind of check their ego at the door a little bit, and play a good team game while still achieving personal advances, right? And getting better, and taking their talents to where they want them to be, where they think they should be, it becomes a win-win for both sides.
I love it, man. So I'm going to be nosy. I'm going to use you for me to, it ain't no parents asking this. I'm just want to know. So when you're going to recruiting these kids out in that area now, so what is the, like I said, I know I'm a little older than you, but two questions. What are the big programs out there in that area? I'm sure you got a base area that
Yep.
you know, hey, these type of kids are gonna. I know I can always plug 1 or 2 kids that's gonna play hard for me.
Mhm.
They can really ball out. So, and as a whole, over the last, I'm dating myself, 20 plus years since I've, been around there. What has the brand of ball gotten better? You know what I'm saying? Is it more? Right now I could be wrong. Listen, I've been out of the loop like that from that area, but to me, it just is your brother the only one from that area? You know what I'm saying? Still in the major leagues? Anybody else from that area in the big
Uh,
league?
so like the Moran brothers, Colin and Mike, right? So they're both, they went to Iona Prep, right? So there's definitely more and more guys that have made it and are still in it. It's funny, right? Because of the growth of like lacrosse, right? That playing that in the spring, especially on Long Island, so close here, that has kind of taken away some of the kids from a younger age, right? But I listen, man. Like we just committed a kid. I can't go into that because that'd be technically a recruiting violation. But we're recruiting some kids that better than I've ever recruited, right? But I just feel like there's less of the higher end and more of the good players. Like
Okay.
the higher end has gotten higher, right? With like you're seeing some of these kids, high school, going to be seniors, 97, 99, right? And it's like, I've never seen, what I mean? You very rarely see that, right? But you're seeing more and more
Right.
on that draft board, some of those high school kids that are creeping up there. There's been in the Northeast, there's been multiple first round draft picks the last couple of years, right? So the baseball in the Northeast has gotten significantly better. The higher end guys have just now kind of separated themselves. And to answer your other question, I have a handful of guys that I trust, right? I got about seven guys, coaches, that I trust and value their opinion, right? So if a guy says, "Hey, Paul, I got a guy for you," like I'm gonna be like, I'd be quicker to pull the trigger on that kid than maybe somebody that I haven't had good success with, or a guy that maybe has, maybe the player didn't pan out or it wasn't a smooth recruiting process. It's just like anything. It's about relationships, right? Like who do you know? Right. Who do you trust, right? And I got a couple guys in different areas where I can say, hey, and it may not even be their player. Hey, have you seen this kid? And he's like, Paul, yeah, he's better than this guy, but he's not as good as this guy. And then he can make connections and pin some kind of pieces of paper together for me, and kind of draw me a picture. And that's kind of how we get to know and get to trust those guys. Like there's a couple out of that 7 where obviously it's tough. I'd have to see it, but there's a couple of those guys where I can literally close my eyes and they say this kid is a kid for you, and I'll be like, without even looking, no doubt, right? So it's all about relationships, man. It's always some relationships.
No, I totally agree, and the beauty of this, and again, it's at least one out of every 4 or 5 coaches that I bring on. Sometimes like we've never met, right? But of course the connection is there, right. The same area, right? Obviously your brother doing his thing, and so that's what I love about this game, because it's really a small world, you know what I mean? In a grand scheme of things.
Yep.
And so when I put a face to a name, and then I'm like, oh dag, I didn't really know, but now I know. So it's like okay, so I know now that, okay, he's at a D1 school. His brother, he got the genes. He played D1. So, now when it comes to players that, just like you trust what I'm going to bring you, I trust that, hey, I know he knows the game. And I know the type of ball, just because I know where I'm from. And, I know, you're from, it's a type of ball play that I know, like, okay, he can come up there and up or whatever and go up there and handle his business up that area. And that's the beauty. Yeah, that's the beauty of this whole thing, man. So anyway, what's the connection between Iona Prep High? Because I know, again, back in the day, that's always been a really good high school in sports, period. What's the connection between Iona Prep High School and Iona, college? It's just a neighbor. It's like a sister. How does that work?
Yeah, basically they're the high school, we're the college, right? So we're on two separate campuses. It's kind of split. There's ties through the Catholic Church, right? Obviously, because we're a Catholic institution, right? So there's ties, but it's two separate entities though.
Okay.
Yeah, but we carry the same name, if that makes sense.
Okay. Yeah, I know in Memphis, well, I have been living for a while. Christian Brothers University and Christian Brothers High School.
Gotcha.
They were like the same kind of thing. I think they were all connected through, and I think De La Salle up in Philly, and he was telling me all the schools are underneath that same umbrella. So I was I just know I always hear about Iona Prep
Right.
in high school too. They always got good ball players coming out there, football and basketball and baseball. So but anyway, so I know that Iona being high level academic school. So what are the requirements and what are the costs that goes along with coming to school there?
So it's the requirements are always sliding, right? We've gone test optional in the last year or so, to where some kids struggle on the SATs, but some kids are really good students, and some vice versa, right? So sometimes you get kids that could take a test, but they're not smart, right? So Iona's gone to a test optional to allow more students to have, I don't want to say greater access, but greater ability to get into the school. Tuition's right under 40,000. Room and board is about 16, right? So you're looking at 56,000 or so. But we do give nice academic packages. So like that always helps offset the cost, right? That's always the piece of it right there, right? The institutional grant, financial aid money, and then the academic packages. Listen, if you got a good GPA, you can really slice off a chunk off that tuition every year.
No doubt about it, man. And I mean that's what baseball more so than football, any other sport. It's like it's academics is everything, man. And we've all the coaches we've been on, including yourself, just saying that, man. But so whatever for that, we talk about the recruiting base, and I know right now is obviously with the whole COVID thing, it's just been messing up everybody's recruiting base, man. So what is your situation, man? With the guys coming back. Are your guys coming back? The incoming freshmen. Tell me a little about the hangups that COVID has caused for you, if at all. With recruiting.
So I think the biggest hangup for me is going to be next year and the year after, right? So as we plan our classes 3-4 years out, we have kids that were supposed to be juniors last year that now have this year and next year's worth of eligibility. And some have expressed interest in coming back, and some are like, I don't know. And some have said, I'm going to be done. I'm going to go be a cop, or I'm going to go do my MBA or go do whatever, right? So the trickiest part for me is navigating the next couple of years with those guys, right? Because my whole philosophy is, for me, has been, I got to take care of my guys first before I bring in another kid. Before I bring in another kid and potentially bring him into a bad situation, right? So for me, I'm not bringing in 55 guys in the fall and cycling through guys, right? Like I don't believe, I don't know if I could sleep personally. Like, I don't know if I could sleep at night if I'm rolling through, cutting kids, making kids' lives live in hell and messing them up on them, and fall under false pretenses, recruiting kids and shuffling it around. Now, baseball is a tough industry, right? There's a lot of moving pieces, and you always have kids leave every year, right? You have a kid that gets homesick, a kid that doesn't like you, a kid that's not playing and wants to play. Like it just happens, right? So you try to plan for it, but you may not get anybody leaving a year, right? So if you over recruit, now who's going to go? Who's going to get cut, right? So for me, I'm at a smaller school, and our administration doesn't necessarily want that type of turnover where you're rolling over, 10 to 12 guys a year, on top of the seniors that you lost. So, but like for me, like the 21 class kind of got stopped in its tracks a little bit. Right. because again, it became, well, I have a couple guys coming back, a couple guys left, a couple guys are getting a job, right? So, but and then you lose a guy, but you already had guys for those spots, right? And but like I said, it's the extrapolation. It's next year,
I feel for you guys with with that, man. But my boy D Robs from California says, hello, coach. Through this pandemic, do you or your coaching staff pull the trigger on video alone?
That goes back to the trust in the people that right? So I have pulled the trigger on a couple kids based upon, video, right? Seeing them on certain services, right? Seeing them on certain live stream and stuff, which has allowed me to see kids in a unconventional way. But like for me, pitching is easier than hitting to recruit on video, right? Personally, okay, the kid's swing looks good in the cage, but is that front toss? Is that overhand? Is that 95 off a machine, right? Like what is it? Can this kid hit? So to answer your question, yes, I have, but also a side note is I'm very cautious about it, right? So maybe I've been a little tighter with my wallet because I don't want to I can't make that mistake, on a kid in a video because I panicked and felt like I needed an extra guy, right? So right. So yes, I have, but I'm very, very cautious with it.
Let me ask you this. So during this pandemic, I've talked to a few of you guys, man. Has this made you a better recruiter during this time? Any skills that you guys have gotten better at because of this, or do you feel like, man, it's just kind of set me back? I got to get, back to my normal, you know what I'm saying? Like, I say that because the video question came up and stuff like that. So, you guys have to be super creative right now. You know what I'm saying? So, I asked that question just from a personal standpoint. Do you feel like, this whole thing have messed me up, so bad? Or do you feel like, coming out of this, I mean, I guess time will tell. Do you feel like you've, gotten better? You know what I'm saying? With certain skills.
I think I've gotten a little bit smarter with how I'm trying to work, if that makes sense. Like, and understanding that there are different avenues, right? Like, so now there's the transfer portal, right? There's a lot of, like on Twitter, right? Like, flat ground, pitching, hitting, we have access now to basically, just because of social media and our phones and the internet, I have access to from anywhere. I can find a player now. So I guess maybe I've gotten, a little bit more. My horizons have kind of broadened a little bit. But I'm definitely itching to get back on the road, man, because I'm a road guy. I like being out on the road. I like being out recruiting. I think that you can smartly, not just. I'm not a guy that just goes out to work just to work. You know what I mean? Like some guys like to beat their chest that they're out here recruiting, but you got your back to the field, right? So I like, personally, I like to, go with a purpose, right? I'm not going to just go. I tell you what, I do miss it though. I do miss putting on that sunscreen, the bucket hat, the long sleeve. I miss it though. I miss it.
I know that's right. I got Mark says, hi, coach. I know there are a few kids from Maryland that have committed to Iona. Mark is from Maryland. Can you talk about that process, how that process looked? Did those kids come to a camp in New York, or did you come down to Maryland, the Mid-Atlantic, to find them at a showcase event? Just asking because I got your next second baseman here in Maryland, 2023.
Oh, man. I love it. Hey, man, I'll drive wherever I got it, man. If the kid can play, the kid can play. I guess their stories were a little bit different. One was more social media based, and then we saw them. But the one kid, Dylan, he's on campus now. He came up to a showcase up at Show Ball. One of our assistants saw him, right? And then I saw him again. that same week. We kind of kept in touch, and then he came up for another tournament up in Diamond Nation up in New Jersey. So I drove over there, saw him again, and he made his official visit. He came up and he saw it. I think one of the biggest things that I enjoyed as a player was, or as a high school prospective student athlete, was the official visit. Right? They very rarely do people have official visits anymore. Like, I took my 3 official visits, and then I made my decision. Right?
Right.
You can get a true feel, but now when kids, and again, I'm guilty of it too. We all are, because that's just the nature of the game. We have kids committing young, and you can't get them on campus, or you can't have them around the student. Like, it doesn't give you a true feel, right, for your program. So. But no, I guess go back to the question. It's just kind of different, man. Video is a great, kind of appetizer in a sense. It kind of gets me interested in the kid. If I really like it, then okay, like, let's go. Like, I got to go see him. So,
man, I mean, I'm listening to. You say social media, you saying getting out there in Maryland, but I had a question for you, and I lost my train of thought because I posted that thing over there, man. But man, it was just what you just said. Yeah, I mentioned something really good, and I posted this thing. And my mind went to what the guy said, and I lost it's gonna come back to me, because you just made a really good point, and I wanted to wrap it around. Okay. Official visits.
Yep.
Now everything is, like you said, everything is younger. You got to get, you're offering kids, certain programs as freshmen, 14, 15-year-old kids, Has that rule changed, from, back when I was in high school, where the senior year is when you take your official visits? Has that rule not changed, or what?
So that rule got moved up to September 1 of your junior year, right? So
okay.
you can take it. Right, you could take it, so a 22 could take an official visit starting September 1, let's say, right?
Okay, right.
But again, it gets tricky because the phone rules are different, right? So it's tougher to get in touch and get connected with kids, and But a lot of kids, like, a lot of times it's just easier. It's easier to just get kids on and off with their families, right? Have them up. Hey, when are you coming up? Yep, tomorrow. Okay, great. Come on. Because there's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of outside stuff that goes into it. Like when we had our officials, it was like you scheduled it 3 weeks ahead of time, and everything was planned out. Mm-hmm. Now everything is just by the minute, and that's how fast. And I think that's also a byproduct of how fast recruiting goes, right? If you see a kid. You talk to him, you see some video, you call his references, you call the other coaches, everything checks out. Maybe you see him again, but if not, it's, hey, when's the first time you can come to campus, kid? Okay, here's your offer. Now you have however long to make your decision, right? So I think the speed of recruiting has changed, which has forced, it forces coaches' hands and it forces kids' hands, right? Because if a school puts a kid on a timeline now. Timelines are kind of it's a touchy subject, right? Some people like it, some people don't. If a school says, "Hey, man, you got a week to decide or 2 weeks to decide," now that pushes me and my timeline up, right? So now I got to rush. Now I got to push my timeline, and honestly, maybe I'm not comfortable with that. Some kids, maybe I am comfortable, but some kids I'm just not, right? Because for us at a smaller Division I school, we can't recruit over the 27, 35, and 11-7, right? So where some conferences are allowed to over recruit, off of their scholarship, right? Because they're going to lose 5 draft guys a year. 3 high school kids aren't going to make it, right? But we can't do that. So I have to be more selective as to who I get, because I don't have the ability to, just lop guys off, at the last minute.
All right. Henry says, what about overload training? Do you guys, overload with your training?
It kind of depends, like I'm assuming he's talking about like overload, underload with the bats and long bat, short bat, heavy bat, light bat, fungo. Yeah, it all kind of works in part of our long-term kind of player development. It's interesting because some guys believe in it, some guys don't. I like my hitters, my guys feeling a little bit of different, but at the same time, you can't do too much, right? I think it's a healthy balance. And for me, it's only in the off season. So when we come in, we have 4 weeks of small group work. Then we have our fall ball 20-hour segment. Then we have small group work at the end where guys got to make corrections to their swings and kind of work on some stuff. That's the time that I would do it. I try not to mess with my guys. Especially like freshmen coming in, first freshman fall. I try to let those guys. I try to just push them into the deep end and see if they swim, right? And because again, guys, as a player, like if you came in as a freshman and some coach is trying to make adjustments, you'd be like, wait, hold on, coach, like I haven't failed yet. Like wait, hold on, like why am I going to change this? I haven't failed. I'm not hitting $170 over 30 plate appearances, right? Yet, so I would rather my guys come in, sink or swim, and then let's make the adjustment. Unless there's something crazy, like kid's got a crazy hitch or something with his arm action on the mound or something. But I don't like changing guys up until you fail, man. Like why change something up that's successful? Like why did I recruit you, right? I go back to that conversation. You did something that made me want to recruit you, right? So at that point, it's like, well, let's So what I do is I keep a video log of all my guys, right? So video log of when they're first recruiting you, then once you've committed, all your follow-up videos, right? Nice. And that way, and then the videos of while they're here, and it's like, hey man, like you were really good back in the fall of 2019. Let's pull up that swing and pair it with one of where you're at now, or same thing on the mound. Hey, what's the guy doing with his body like that? So for me, that's where I kind of can use some of those things, and then it's like the overload underload thing. Like, hey, like we didn't do that, but now we're doing that. Or hey, that's what we did, but now this kid hasn't done this drill set, right? So it's just trying to find and everything's individualized. It's not. For me, you can't cookie cutter hitting. You can't cookie cutter pitching. Everybody's got a different slot. Everybody's got a different setup. Everybody's got a little bit different something, right? So what drills and what stuff works for that individual guy?
I love it. It's funny you say going back. Why you recruited the guy, video him, and then so when he, gets on your campus and he's struggling or scuffling, it ain't nothing wrong with that. I remember being a major league ball player and plugging in my high school tapes. Maybe I had to go back to tapes then. My high school tapes and looking at my swing and being like, man, when it was just free and easy, I wasn't thinking, all this mechanics and stuff. I was just seeing the ball hitting it and just, it's funny. Like, you're talking about that because sometimes the more training you get, what I'm saying, the more. We just had this conversation, I'm with the Pirates organization and coaching. We just had this conversation on Friday. We talked about bringing kids in, getting drafted, bringing them into the organization, and how, when do you start coaching them? You know what I'm saying? And we just had this conversation on Friday. It was a heated, a long, heated. I mean, heated. It was a good information type, and I thought about this. And I said this in the meeting. It was like I was watching the Dodgers and the Astros play last week, and they were talking about Cody Bellinger only had one home run as a senior in high school. And he only hit one home run as a senior. And he got drafted in the 4th round. And, I don't know what type of swing he had. I like to think that's kind of a unique type of swing that he had that I don't think it's too much tweaking and stuff that was done. But, the type of training and mindset that needed to go with that kid to obviously you don't know he's going to be MVP, right. 4th round pick, what I'm saying? It wasn't like he was a first round, but he was a high round guy, what I'm saying? But it's just funny that guy got drafted 4th round, hit one home run as a senior in high school. And that, that evaluation and all of that was like, hey, we're going to project this kid to be this way through proper training and stuff. I just thought that was crazy,
A lot of it, half of what we do is projection, half of it is luck, man. I gotta tell you, it's like sometimes we get lucky on some of these kids, man. Like, hey, like this righty's 86, 87. He sinks it a little bit, those sliders okay. And then boom, he shows up on campus. He's 90, 91. You look like a genius, and you're like, I was hoping that he was just gonna, throw a couple bullpen innings here and there, right?
Right, right.
But it also goes the other way too. It's
I'm about to say that, yep. Mm-hmm.
Listen, man, we all mess up, right? Like, man, like that same kid gets on campus, he's 82, 83. What the heck happened to you, man? What in the world is going on, right? So it's
right.
That's why this whole system, it's just imperfect, right? Baseball's imperfect, man. That's what makes this game so special, because it's not perfect. There ain't no one way to do everything, right? And that's and so we train our guys to not be the same. Do different, be different. Like, I like the peacock effect, right? So you got high slot righties, high slot lefties, and you roll it around. I got this guy, I got a low guy on both sides, like different looks and stuff, man. You got to keep everybody on their toes with everything.
It's funny. I like that. The peacock. But I got you on that one, man. How do from your years at I just go the last 3 years at Iona. What is the percentages of people that come in? And I know you even had the 4 year. I'm just talking about the potential. The 8, 10, 12, how many guys come in each year? What's the turnover? You know what I'm saying, with those kids, man? I'm hearing you talk, and I hear other coaches talk. On the average, what is the turnover? Especially now with the transfer portal and everything being the way it is.
So I think now the transfer portal puts kids at ease that they may have another opportunity. Because in the old days, it was like, hey, coach had to agree to your release. You had to go say, hey, what schools you want to send it to and this and that. Now, like, every school has access to every kid that's on the portal, right? So it's eased the mind of some kids and some parents about, like, hey, I don't know. Well, we'll give it a try. So, I mean, realistically, you're probably bringing in about 10 guys a year, probably a couple JUCO guys or a transfer or two, and, 8 freshmen, let's just say. But let's just say you bring in 10 guys. Probably, you're going to lose 1 or 2 of those guys, within a full cycle of them getting on campus their first year in August, all the way back around to the next August, right? What ends up happening is, like I said, some kids, just don't like the school, fall out of love of baseball, and it, some years you may have 4 or 5, and some years you may have 0. And that's what makes recruiting so tough, right? Because you try to plan for maybe that 1 or 2 guys that'll leave. Sure, there's a little attrition. You're going to have a guy that was unhappy with his playing time and whatever. It happens, but you try to plan for it, but you can never truly plan for it. So I would say a couple guys every class. And usually it happens their freshman year. Once they once they get past their sophomore year, they're usually in it to win it. Does that kind of make sense? Like, your freshman year, basically what it comes down to is you have your most guys leave after their freshman year or before the start of the spring semester of their sophomore year, right? Because, as a freshman, maybe you don't play, you come back to campus, right? You come back to campus, you have fall ball. Then a lot of kids realize, well, I got better and now I'm in a role, or I didn't get better and somebody else jumped me, right? So that's usually how that kind of changes. But,
okay.
So I guess to answer your question, there's probably 2 guys or 3 a year that say this isn't for me, or I want to try something different.
Okay, and I guess you gotta that number, so you got to recruit. You know what I'm saying, with that mindset, right? That you're probably going to have 1 or 2 that's gonna,
right. And I look at my roster this year. When I say I love my guys, it's not a father love, it's an uncle love, right? You're trying to mentor them and kind of bring them in and get them through. Like, I love all my guys deeply, but I know that there are a couple guys that will probably be unhappy, and that's just, in any family, you're gonna have an unhappy cousin, you're gonna have an unhappy second cousin or whatever, right? So somebody's not gonna be happy, and people will leave, and you try not to take it personally. I lost a kid this last summer that I recruited him when I was an assistant, and he was kind of one of my guys, and he hurt. That one hurt me. I was pretty upset. I was pretty upset on that one. But he had family reasons, and he had other things as to what made more sense for the kid. Right? It wasn't about me. He loves me. We love each other, and there's other things that come into play in kids' lives. Man, kids got girlfriends, kids got family problems, kids got money problems, right? Like they can't afford things, or they had a problem with teammates or this or that. So yeah, it gets tricky, man. It gets tough.
Okay. Mark says, can we talk about position recruiting? My kid plays second, third base, and can play shortstop plus outfield. He normally plays second base. He's an athlete. We had a college coach tell us that they don't recruit second basemen. I assume he goes after shortstops only. Do you feel the same, or is your approach different? Please explain.
Okay, it kind of depends on so for me, it depends on the makeup of my roster, right? So traditionally, if you can play it short and and be like a full-time shortstop, you can play second, third, and the outfielders. Now, I guess the stigma at times is, man, if you get a second baseman, only, maybe he doesn't have enough arm for short or third, right? So for me, I have to evaluate all the tools, right? If the kid can run, if he can defend, if he can hit, give me a tool and I can make it work. So to answer your question, I would prefer shortstops because I could plug them anywhere. But if you can swing it at second base, I'm going to find you a position. I'll stick you out in left field. You'll be the DH. We had for example, we had a freshman last year. He was a high school shortstop, second base, a little bit of third base. He played on a really good high school team where he played mostly second base because the shortstop was better than him. So he comes in as second baseman for us, but he's a bat guy. So we trained him a little bit of third. We had him out in the left a couple games. He's at first base. He's 6'2". He's a little bit bigger. So like taller, not like he's fit. He's athletic. But I guess to answer the question, as long as you're athletic, as long as and especially if you can hit, man. If you can hit, I'll find. I don't care who you are, how tall, short, whatever you are. I'll find a spot in the lineup for you, right? So, but it kind of just depends on the year too.
I like what you said at the back end because I was listening and all of that. And I'm like, listen, if the kid, you and me thinking the same thing. I know you had to answer the question right, but basically, listen, the kid can bang. We gonna find a spot for you. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
All right.
I'll make you a catcher. I'll make you a catcher. Sure. I'll make you first baseman. I'll make you left fielder. So just keep plugging away. Keep honing those skills, man.
All right. The Mark, you said showcases based videos. I'm sure he's gonna pick showcases, at least get to see the person in them videos. I'm gonna answer it for him. Let me see other ones over here. So speaking of so normally on a normal summer, I know this has kind of been everybody D1 wise has been locked down. But a normal season of yours, where are you guys, when is usually the camps that you guys have? And also when it comes to recruiting and showcases, where do you guys go?
So for us internally, camps are usually in the fall. And for recruiting with us, I kind of go back to earlier. It starts with a lead. It starts with one of those 10 guys that I know, or hey, a good email with a nice video, or a or a good tweet on Pitching Ninja or Flat Ground app, right? So then it's a lead, and then that's how we follow up. Now, sure, we have events, that we always hit the PBR state games, the futures games. You always hit Diamond Nation stuff. You always hit certain events that are always on the calendar. But I honestly can't tell you, like, if this was a normal, what is this today, Monday? I couldn't tell you where I'd be on Wednesday, because it's going to be, hey, well, when's this kid pitching again? Or, hey, who's he playing here? And wait, I saw that kid this weekend, but he's got practice on Wednesday, so I'm going to drive, see his practice in practice, right? So we always have our staples, but then we kind of branch out if we have to.
You just mentioned something to me. So, do you go to the kid that you like? Do you go check them out in practice?
If the timing is right, and I know that, and if I know the coach, I know the practice, and I can kind of have a feel of then yes. Like, I want to see a kid work, man. I want to see him. I want to see how he walks into the yard. Right? Is he wearing shorts and flip-flops? Right? Like is he ready for work? Did he bring his lunch pail today, man? Is he, like, and then people get into the debate about mom and dad throwing water bottles over the thing, and, like, I don't know how I feel about that stuff, but, like, personally, I know that I filled up 2 of those. You might remember, like, those big sucker things where you, like, do this, like the big jugs. Yeah. Like the igloo things.
Yeah.
I'd fill up 2 of them. Like, okay. Like, and if I don't use it, I'll throw it out on the mound or whatever, right? Yeah. I would rather see a kid be prepared than get caught with his pants down and not, oh, ma, I forgot my glove in the car. I forgot my first baseman's mitt. I'm in the lineup today. Like, listen, I've seen it. I've seen it. I've seen it all.
I want. That might be, you said a lot of good stuff, right? But I love what you just said. The last pretty much 2 minutes you just said, how somebody walks into the field, because sometimes I think parents and kids have this, hey, they're not judging me until, essentially game time, you know what I'm saying? And so that's why, A, I asked about the practice, and B, when you just said, you're judging a kid basically as soon as he gets off the bus or gets out of his mom and dad's car, you are judging that kid, how he's walking, how he looks, is he in flip-flops and all that type of stuff. I think that's awesome information that you you just gave right there, but just by saying it, man, because, again, I hate the flip-flop thing. I know that's the, what the kids do, man. But I if you could, can you elaborate that a little bit for these parents that are still listening in, right? So when little Johnny and all of that, being, and I'm guilty of it too, because some of my when I had my showcase teams, they be walking in flip flops and sometimes hitting it, and it used to piss me, off because they didn't bring no turfs and all of that, right? So what, from a D1, head coach, when you are evaluating a guy, what is he supposed to be? What are you looking for? That's like, yeah, that's my type of guy. Please tell me. Please tell the audience from the gate.
I'm going to preface this by saying one quick comment. There are thousands and thousands of kids out there. What separates you as a potential prospective student athlete, from the next guy? And if the kids have the same grades, the same recommendation from coach, the same everything, but one kid handles himself more professionally and is prepared, has profession, as compared to a kid that again, I tell you, I've seen it. A kid showing up in a tank and a bathing suit to the field, like walking into the tournament, and I'm like, just changing the car, just put your pants on, put your socks on. So for me, like our guys, like we have, like, and again, our guys get it, but there's, like, I don't want to say strict, but it's like there's guidelines. Hey, you're wearing your team turf. Unless you're a pitcher that threw the day before and you have your workout in the gym, everybody's in pants. And one of your 8 approved team tops, the BP top, the long sleeve, the fleece, sweatshirt, whatever. Like, I want my guys looking professional. Like, I think it looks sloppy when guys roll in untucked, on their phone, or stirrups are pushed down. Like, and again, have I recruited kids that are like that? Yes, but I don't like it either. Does that kind of make sense? Like,
I'd say.
it what swings the pendulum, right? What pushes me to say yes to a kid or no to a kid when two kids are the same? Like, I had this conversation with another summer coach the other day, because he was talking about me taking his kid, and I said, well, here's the offer. Like, here's where I value him. Well, I don't know if that'll get it done. And it's like, well, what separates him from the shortstop from California, or the kid from Maryland, or the kid from Maine, or the kid from here? Like, I can go find a player that shows up on early, prepared, has his equipment, right? Because I think what people don't understand is that the kids that are, and again, I also judge kids on how responsive they are, right? I text you, no offense, and then I see you tweet 20 minutes later, but you don't answer my text for 24 hours. Sorry, coach, I was busy at my friends and this and that. Like, well, but you tweeted 3 times, you retweeted something really stupid, and I saw your Instagram post. So where do I fit, right? So what sometimes parents and people don't understand is that those kids that you see problems with, especially with behavior-wise, how's that kid going to be when he steps on campus? Is he going to be responsible, right? Hey, a kid, a kid doesn't, sign his NLI in time and send it back in time, right? That, so then the NLI becomes, invalid, right? Because it didn't come back within the week and this and that, didn't get uploaded. So you got to cut the kid another one. Well, but then flash forward 9 months later, that kid's not responding.
What?
Like those are the behaviors that you see in the recruiting process, and then you see it extrapolate. Now they're older. Now they're on their own. They don't have their mom and dad cleaning up their mess. Because like you see it all the time. Like, a kid doesn't send his transcripts. Then I have to ask him a second time, and then I get an email from the mother or the father or a parent or a guardian. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's Johnny's transcript. Well, no, I asked you to send me your transcript. So a lot of these behaviors really correlate to how the kids are going to be when they step on campus.
Yeah, I mean, those are nuggets right there, man. I hope your parents are listening, man. I'm bugging out. Let me ask you a question. So kid, you just said that, whatever. So kids are late sending in their letter of intent.
Hey, man, that's the money that you're getting. That's your scholarship. That's your scholarship, man. Come on,
man.
All right, man. Hey, I've seen it all, man. I've been coaching 8 years in Division I game, man. Going on number 9. I've seen a lot. I haven't seen it all, but I've seen a lot.
Wow, that's crazy, bro. All right. The Sneaker Youngins asks, what would you look for in a pitcher that you would recruit?
Oh man, I think it depends. Right-handed, left-handed, right? It kind of goes back to the peacock thing, right? Like, well, what do? Right? Do you spin it? Right? Are you a sinker slider guy, low slot, high slot guy? I think it really depends. Obviously velocity is the easiest, right? Velocity, you could see that. I don't even take out my radar gun sometimes, man. I'm in. You have kind of an idea. Velocity is always important, but I look for athleticism, right? Because not everybody is athletic enough to make adjustments and take coaching and make that actual adjustment, right? So for me, if the kid's athletic on the mound, maybe his velocity is a tick lower, but he's athletic. He moves well. He's got a good acumen. He's smart. He doesn't get the old pitcher that like balks when like a kid false starts at first. Like, right. Okay, like you can coach that, but if a kid, how does a kid handle certain things? Can a kid field his position? Or is he going to throw the ball away every time? Like, there are all those little pieces that, like, it's kind of a it's kind of a summation of parts that equal a whole. What does this kid do? Hey, well, maybe his velocity's not there, but he's a really good team guy, feels his position well. He's a clubhouse leader type of guy. Okay. I'd rather have that guy than a kid that's throwing harder but wild, jerk of a teammate, and it doesn't have good grades, right? So everything kind of molds. So I guess to answer your question, there's no exact science. It's kind of, what does that kid offer? What does that kid offer? What's he kind of bringing to the table?
And it's funny that I look at kids and stuff, but obviously you're looking at it with a different lens, being like, hey, is this kid going to really help my program? And I've looked at it on a less years than you, right? But when I hear you talking, and I'm just like, the velo, when you say you don't bring the velo, the radar gun, sometimes, I'm picturing you or picturing myself that you're watching a kid and you like, I don't think the velo is there, but that dude got swag around the mound. He's pumping strikes. He's fearless out there. He's giving it everything he can, and the velo may not be there. That's the kid that you like.
I'll take that kid.
Something about him, yeah. It's something about him, right?
He's got big cojones out there, man. Like filling it up with the bases loaded. Hey, is he gonna? Right. Can this kid throw a 3-2 breaking ball with runners on first and second and a 3-hole batter up? Because you're probably going to get a freeze, right? You're going to get a strike 3 if you can spin that thing in there. Does he got the stones to do it with the game on the line? Right. In a championship game of a tournament or a whatever. Like that. Honestly, you can't. Everybody, these days they want to talk launch angle and the speed and the Statcast and the TrackMan. But hey, what's in here, man? I think I really believe that gets lost in today's game. Like my brother talks about I had a great conversation with him because we were talking about pitchers and like, hey, how are different pitchers trying to get you out? And hey, but this guy's a high release, low spin guy. He's a low release, high spin guy, so he's gonna pitch up in its own. But like my brother says, like, you can't measure what's here. It doesn't matter. You may not have the stuff, but if you got this. Like that carries weight, man. If a kid is, I don't want to say soft, that's not the right word, but like if he's not tough on the mound, will that kid be able to play in my program where I set expectations, where I expect you to do X, Y, and Z. And again, I'm not being a jerk about it. It's just, you're a Division I scholarship athlete. You should be able to handle yourself. Be able to field the bunt, throw it to first, right? Field the ball, throw it to second, right? Throw strikes. Again, easier said than done sometimes, right? I always hate the coach that's like, just throw strikes. Well, how do you do that, coach? How do you do that? But you can't measure heart. Can't measure heart.
And I know that's the biggest thing, you guys. And I say you guys, I mean the recruiting aspect of it. That it's like that's the biggest gamble, you know what I mean? It's just, and how and I'm gonna leave you with this, Coach, man. I appreciate you, man. I mean, we rapping, we talking ball, man. We little over that hour, man.
We'll chop it up anytime you want, man. I'm good with it.
Right. And so this last thing I want to kind of go by and how when you bring that kid on, you pull the trigger on that kid a year or two earlier. You gave him that offer. He gets on your campus, and now he's with the whole freshman class. And, how long is that window before you really be like, and I know it varies, but we talk about the 1 or 2 or 3 kids that leave for various reasons and all of that. But from an evaluation, a self-evaluation, how often, because I do it, I've done it. Let me keep saying that from when I have my little teams. But I'm like, what did I see in this kid?
Right.
But how long does it take for you to be like, I could coach this kid up? Because right now I don't know what the hell that I did, bringing this kid in. You know what I'm saying? So, I'm asking that question as far as like, how long do you give that window? Is it right away? Like, what the hell was I thinking? Or I'm like, I'm gonna train him up, but he's not looking good right now. So, Is it a year, two? What, you know what I'm saying?
I think it depends on how much money you got in a kid, right? Is he on big money? Is he on no money? I think, for us as a staff, like we talk daily, right? After every practice, we sit down and we literally go through the roster. Hey, what's going on with Joey? What's going on, man? Like he's had a couple bad practices lately. Well, coach, I think he's been doing this. Okay, well let's work on this. I try not to push the. I try not to press the old panic button too early on a kid, right? Because again, every freshman comes in a little bit differently. Like great example, we had a freshman that came in last fall, and like the game was just a little quick for him, right? And he was thinking too much. He's behind the plate. And he's struggling a little bit. And we had another outfielder that was in the same boat. He struggled. They struggled in the fall. They struggled in the winter pre-season, like before like our spring training per se, like before games started. Yeah. They didn't see much burn. They didn't see the burn, and we had conversations with them, and like one of them, I was very nervous. But I was like, man, like I don't know, like great, love the kid, but I don't know, like where's it gonna go?
Right.
We sat down, had a couple conversations. Here's what we think you need to work on. And the kids manned up and said, hey, Skip, what do I got to do to get on the field? Well, hey, you got to be more consistent at practice. Hey, you got to be better on the low pitch. You got to be better with this. You got to do this. Well, and sure enough, they're grabbing coach for post work. They're working on it. And then 2 weeks later, a week later, they're getting that bat base hit, right? And then you can see them kind of start to roll, So I think it depends on the kid and what they have in here and in here, right? Is the kid tough enough to handle not playing? Is the kid tough enough to handle me being critical? Is the kid tough enough to be able to face the music, right? Because it's those difficult conversations. Hey, man, like, because for me, I pride myself on communication, right? I pride myself on being transparent, upfront and forward. Like, I have a meeting with every kid pre-fall, during the fall, post-fall, pre-season, right? Hey, man, this is where you stand. I don't have you traveling opening weekend. Well, what do you mean? Well, like, if you look at your numbers, like, you've hit 0 balls hard in 25 at-bats in the wintertime. I'm sorry. Like, you're not there, man. Right. Like instead of a kid rolling it, like, oh, I should be in the starting lineup. No, like that's why we post everything, all the metrics, all the the sort, all the sortables we post. That way, even though we don't necessarily like use them all, hey, here's all the information, guys. Like here's all the information. Like you can look it up on the website and get it yourself, but here's the information. Guys go backwards in their squat numbers. Right, I'll highlight that in yellow, put that right on the cork board, and then it's like, somebody's watching me, like somebody's watching, like, hey, like we did our run, our run test, and my number went backward. I didn't get better. Well, why are you in worse shape than a month ago? Highlight that in red, red, yellow, green. Guys don't like that. Don't like that. Don't like that red and yellow. They don't like that. But it's the truth, right? I feel like if you're transparent and you give them the truth,
I love it.
It is what it is. Like nobody can come at you if you say, "Listen, this is what I see, and this is why I see it."
Yeah,
I think you're wrong. Yep. Well, okay.
Multiple times during a year, right? Which I like that part. It ain't just one time. It's because everything changes, right? You may have a good week and a bad week, but so you're having multiple touches with your players throughout the year, so. He knows where he stands because you've been gradually, you're posting, you're talking to them 3 or 4 times a year. I like that, man.
And I like the word you use, these touches, man. And this is something that like I had a conversation with one of my leaders last year during the season, and I had gotten away from it. I wasn't walking the stretch line enough, right? So I wasn't walking BP enough. Like I wasn't, hey Jimmy, what's going on, man? Like I had lost a little bit of closeness in a sense of like, well, because like when games start, man, like I'm working on scouting reports, I'm working on video, I'm working on everything, so I'm running a practice right on time. I'm not there 10 minutes, 15 minutes early, right? To be able to chop it up with him for a couple minutes and keep that personal relationship. So when I had to talk with the guys about that, I'm like, okay, like makes sense. So that's when I started getting with some of the other guys. And I'm like, things start to ooze, and people appreciate those one-off touches here and there. Coach is actually thinking about me. I'm number 40, but coach is thinking about me. So that's something that I got to be better with and do the whole year. And honestly, when I talk about kids being good listeners and like trying to understand, that includes me too. If they say, "Hey, Skip, man, hey, we didn't like how you called that kid out because that really wasn't warranted." I gotta like, okay, like I'm a man, I'm a big boy. I'll listen. I don't have to agree with you, but I gotta listen. And I gotta understand it. That's just like what's going on in the world. Like you gotta listen. Like you gotta understand, right? You can't, you can't preach one thing and then do something else, right?
That's right.
It's two-way street. So
no doubt about it, man.
It's been great, man.
Listen, man. Let me before you're gonna close us out. I have all my coaches a guest. Come on, they give us you've been giving us nuggets the whole time, man. But I want you to kind of give a message to, it could be about anything, school, parents, anything, But first, before you do that, what's your social media handles or your email so parents listening in that hey, I want I'm interested in Iona College. Lord have mercy, excuse me, Iona College, and I want to send some information, man. Video, anything like that.
Yep.
What's a
yep.
Do you like Twitter? Do you like
anything? Twitter at Coach Paul Panik. You got you email ppanik@iona.edu. That info is on the website, right? Yeah, like listen, I read everything, like I see everything. We don't always have time to respond, and but trust me, we see everything, right? So we see all the emails. But I guess the biggest thing that I want to leave everybody with is enjoy the game for what it brings you, right? Like kids get wrapped up sometimes because mom and dad want them to be the next pro player, right? Use baseball as a vehicle to jumpstart your life, to get going in your life, right? To try to better yourself and better where you are. Don't worry about what the guy next to you is doing. I find too many kids that get caught up in, well, this kid over here got this offer, or this kid's going here. But hey, guys, you don't always know the story. That kid could be going to that school on no money, but you got 75% to this school. Like we see it all the time, right? So use baseball as a vehicle to better yourself and better your life. Because at the end of the day, like, like there's only like the 1% of the 1%. You were in the 1% of the 1% of the 1%, right? Get your degree. Do what you have to, right? And if it works out, it works out, right? Chase that dream as long as you can until they rip that jersey off your back. Chase that dream. But in the meantime, do what you have to do to set your life up in order. You can do both, fellas. You could chase the dream, put in all the hours extra work and this and that, but still make sure you get that degree. Like you can do both. If you're not blessed enough to come out and get drafted out of high school and go that route, if you're going to go the college route, make sure that you do everything you can to graduate, or at least set yourself up for if you get drafted and can go, and then you only have one good year left, right? So, but just stay humble, and keep your nose down. I guess that's my biggest thing. Stay humble, keep your nose down, and keep pushing. Even when that hourglass runs out of sand, just keep running. Just keep running, baby. Just keep running.
Listen, man. Spoken from a true baseball guy. Listen, the baseball oozes out of him. It's a family thing, man. His brother done played multiple years in the major leagues. Comes from that hotbed over there, up there in the Hudson Valley, up there in New York, up there, man. Listen, man, it's Coach, it's been a pleasure, man, meeting you, man, and more power to you and your program, man. In the future, I will be in touch.
Thanks,
No
Steve.
doubt about it. Parents, I hope you got some great nuggets, man. I love the main message that is sticking out to me right now. He's saying, don't be coming up to the field in those freaking flip flops, stirrups, socks rolled down, and all of that. When these guys are evaluating, they are evaluating you from the car to the field, not when you get on the field. All right, they are evaluating from the gate. So that's the biggest. I mean, he done had a bunch of nuggets over there, man, but that's the one that's sitting home to me over there. All right,
love it.
Hardcore. All right, so Coach, man, I appreciate you, my brother. Thank you so much for coming on, man. Everybody saying thank you, man. They love this guy. Thanks, Coach, coming in.
Anytime, man.
So again, it's Twitter.
Next time you're up, next time you're up in New York City, let me know. Man, next time you're up in the area, you let me know. We'll chop it up.
I sure will. I'll be in touch with you, way before that, man. I got some. I'm sure I'll get some players and all of that. I could at least put you in some contact with, and then we go from there. So tomorrow, I will be on tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. I have Greg Moore from St. Mary's. We're going to the West Coast now. We done went to the crib. All right, we done went to the crib in New York. Now we're going to the left coast. All right, we're going out there to the West Coast. St. Mary's out there, D1 school out there in California. All right, so we're going coast to coast over there. So join me tomorrow, 4 p.m. Eastern. I will be on. All right. Coach Panik, appreciate it again, brother, man. I will be in contact. Parents, 4 p.m. Eastern. All right, cool. Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, guys.